Hello, and welcome back to Crime Solvers Central. I'm one of your hosts, Charlie. Tonight, we're changing it up a bit and covering a case that is very recent. It's still unfolding, still urgent, and still without the answers everyone is waiting for. An 84-year-old woman named Nancy Guthrie vanished from her home in the Catalina Foothills area near Tucson, Arizona. She was last seen alive on the evening of January 31st, 2026. By the next day, her family knew something was wrong. Nancy had not shown up for something she was expected to attend. Her belongings were still at home. Her normal routine had been interrupted. And very quickly, investigators began treating this as more than a standard missing persons case.
I'm your other host, Jace, and this is indeed a very high-profile case. It caught national attention almost instantly due to the fact that Nancy's daughter, Savannah, is on many people's TV screens every morning as a news anchor. Nancy is not someone who would simply disappear without explanation. According to the FBI, she is considered a vulnerable adult. She has difficulty walking, she has a pacemaker, and she needs daily medication for a heart condition. Those details matter because they make time incredibly important. And then there's the surveillance footage. Authorities have released images of an unknown armed male near Nancy's front door, appearing to tamper with her camera. That individual has been described as approximately 5'9" to 5'10", with an average build, wearing a black 25-liter Ozark Trail Hiker Pack backpack. So far, this is the biggest bit of concrete evidence we have. But stick with us as we go through everything we can. This is Crime Solvers Central.
What's the emergency?
No problem. All units are by I'm at the corner of Pleasant Hill and John Young Freeway.
That one image changes the entire tone of the case. It moves the conversation away from, could Nancy have wandered off? And toward the much darker possibility that someone came to her home with intent. Tonight, we're going to walk through what's known, what authorities have released, what remains unclear, and the theories people are discussing.
As always, we'll be very careful with the unknowns, because this is the definition of an active investigation, and Nancy is a real person with a family who is still waiting in agony. And at the end, we'll talk about what people can do to help. Because in cases like this, one camera clip, one remembered vehicle, one strange interaction, or one tip can matter.
Absolutely. Now let's begin. Nancy Guthrie is 84 years old. She lived in the Tucson, Arizona area, in the Catalina Foothills, a community north of the city, near the Santa Catalina Mountains. As we mentioned earlier, she is also the mother of journalist and Today Show co-anchor Savannah Guthrie, which is one reason the case has received national attention. But at the heart of the story, Nancy is a mother, a grandmother, a neighbor, and a woman whose life was interrupted in a terrifying way.
That distinction is important. High-profile cases can often become media events, but the center of this case is an elderly woman who needs medication, who has health challenges, and who should have been safe inside her own home. Nancy was last seen by family at her residence on the evening of January 31st. The next day, her family reported her missing. According to the FBI, her whereabouts remain unknown. Law enforcement continues to seek tips, video, and photos that may help locate her.
When someone vulnerable disappears, investigators usually look at a wide range of possibilities right away. Did the person leave voluntarily? Did they become confused or disoriented? Was there a medical emergency? Did someone else become involved? But in Nancy's case, authorities have made it clear that they are looking very closely at the likelihood of abduction. That's not speculation from internet forums. That comes from the FBI and local law enforcement.
All good points, and the reason they're asking for public help is specific. They're not only asking whether someone saw Nancy, they're asking for digital evidence, doorbell cameras, security cameras, dash cams, photos, videos, anything from the area and time period that might show a person, a vehicle, or movement that didn't seem important at the time, but might be helpful now.
We're going to turn now to what could be a new clue in the search for Nancy Guthrie as authorities ask homeowners to submit their home security footage. Chief Investigative Correspondent Aaron Katursky has the details. Good morning, Aaron.
Hi, George. Good morning. This weekend, it's going to be a month since Nancy Guthrie vanished. The investigation is entering something of a new phase. The FBI is now finished collecting evidence from her home, but still painstakingly perusing as many as 10,000 hours of video, hoping there's a clue in there somewhere.
Now that we know a bit about Nancy, let's lay out the timeline as clearly as possible. On Saturday, January 31st, 2026, Nancy Guthrie was last seen at her home in the Catalina Foothills area near Tucson. Reporting has placed the last known sighting in the evening. Then, on Sunday, February 1st, Nancy was expected to attend church. When she did not appear as expected, concern grew quickly. Her family checked on her, and Nancy was not found. She was then reported missing.
That's certainly a terrifying spectacle for her family. What stood out immediately was what she left behind. In cases involving a person who may have voluntarily left, investigators often look at whether they took a phone, wallet, medication, keys, or other personal items. In this case, those circumstances did not fit. She needs daily medication and has mobility issues. She was not someone who could easily leave on foot and disappear into the desert landscape without a trace.
And then comes the security footage. The FBI has released images and video connected to Nancy's home. The footage shows an unknown armed individual at or near the front door area, appearing to tamper with the camera. That is one of the most important known pieces of public evidence. The image suggests planning and awareness of surveillance. And it suggests that the person knew, or at least suspected, that the camera could capture something incriminating.
The FBI's description is very specific, but generic enough to be frustrating. The suspect is believed to be male, around 5'9" to 5'10", average build, wearing a black 25-liter Ozark Trail Hiker Pack backpack. That backpack detail may sound minor, but knowing it can be powerful. Someone may remember a person wearing that exact type of bag or have seen it in a vehicle. Someone may know a person who owned one or got rid of one or suddenly stopped using one.
In the days after Nancy disappeared, law enforcement activity naturally increased. The FBI quickly became involved. A reward was announced and later listed by the FBI at up to $100,000 for information leading to Nancy's location and or the arrest and conviction of those responsible. And the case drew a flood of public attention. Some of it was helpful, and sadly, some of it was deeply harmful.
Perhaps the most chilling element of this case is the image of someone at Nancy's front door. An elderly woman is inside, or believed to be inside, and an armed person is outside the home, apparently interfering with the camera. That creates a very narrow, very frightening window of time. Someone approached the home, someone was trying to avoid being identified, and most importantly, Nancy is gone.
It's worth mentioning that we don't know what happened inside the house. We don't know whether Nancy knew the person, anything about forced entry, or even whether there was a confrontation. But what we can say is the person captured in the footage is central to the public appeal. The FBI chose to release those images for a reason, because they believe someone may recognize something. Things like the body type, the clothing, the movement, the backpack, or the circumstances.
There's also the setting to consider. The Catalina Foothills is not a dense urban area in the same way downtown Tucson is. Homes can be set back, roads can be much quieter at night. Desert terrain can make searches extremely difficult, and a person entering or leaving the area might have been captured by a neighbor's camera without anyone paying any attention to what's happening.
And that's why the FBI's request for digital information is so important. A neighbor's camera might not show the front door, but it might show headlights. It might show a person walking or a vehicle parking or stopping in a strange place. A dash cam from a rideshare driver, delivery driver, or someone leaving a restaurant late that night could matter. A photo taken casually in the area could matter. A business security camera several blocks away could matter. Ask yourself, is that you?
And in a wildly active case like this, even footage that seems boring or irrelevant could be useful. Investigators build timelines not just from dramatic moments, but from quiet ones. Knowledge of a vehicle can create a path. A car passing at 10:12, a person walking at 10:40, a light turning on, a camera losing connection, a vehicle leaving at 2 in the morning. Those small points can become the skeleton of the case when it comes to tracking any suspect's movements.
When a case receives national attention, tips usually pour in. That can be good because it gives investigators more material to work with. But it also creates a huge problem. False leads, rumors, hoaxes, and people inserting themselves into the investigation. In Nancy's case, there's been reporting about alleged ransom messages, and at least one person accused in a separate impostor ransom demand. That person is not accused of abducting Nancy.
As disgraceful as the behavior is, it matters to talk about it. A hoax ransom demand can create confusion, waste investigative resources, and cause even more pain for the family. It can also distort the public's understanding of the case. When people hear ransom, they often assume that the disappearance was financially motivated, but investigators have not publicly confirmed a complete motive. And in an active investigation, motives can be complicated or unclear.
That is also why responsible coverage matters. We are not here to name random people, point fingers at family members, or repeat unverified online claims. We are here to focus on what is known and what may help. A real tip is not a theory typed in a comment section. A real tip is something specific. A sighting, a video, a person who made a statement, a vehicle seen at a certain time, a backpack that matches the description, a discarded item, or a connection that can be checked.
And if someone has information, the best place for it is law enforcement. Not social media, not a comment thread, not a rumor chain. Law enforcement can compare a tip against evidence the public does not have. If you're on the fence, always err on the side of caution by reporting it.
This morning, 20 days into the search for Nancy Guthrie, there have been setbacks and challenges and still no suspect. But some 400 FBI agents and sheriff deputies are still actively working the case, canvassing the city as they try to find answers to so many of the unknowns.
Part of what makes this search so challenging is just how vast the area around Nancy's home is. You can get a sense of it here. Pima County is about 9,000 square miles. That is larger than the entire state of New Jersey. And a lot of it looks like this: massive mountain ranges and the Sonoran Desert that stretches for miles.
Now, we're going to move into the theories portion of the episode. As we make abundantly clear in each episode, these are not accusations or conclusions. These are possible frameworks that people may consider when looking at the known facts. With that said, the first theory is targeted abduction.
This would be where someone specifically targeted Nancy or her home. The camera tampering could suggest planning. The fact that the individual appeared armed could suggest intent. And because Nancy's family connection was publicly known, some people have wondered whether the abduction could have been connected to ransom, attention, or a belief that the family had access to money.
That theory has to be handled carefully. A public family connection does not automatically indicate a motive. An alleged ransom communication can be real, fake, or opportunistic. And sadly, there have been cases of all three. We know there's already been at least one instance involving an alleged impostor ransom demand.
But targeted abduction remains one of the possibilities because the person at the door appears to take steps to avoid identification. If someone only intended a quick burglary, tampering with the camera while armed could still happen. But it also looks like someone thinking ahead.
The second theory is a burglary or home invasion that escalated. In this scenario, the suspect may have approached the home intending theft, believing the home was empty or occupied by someone who would not resist. Then, something changed. Nancy may have encountered the intruder, which startled them. The intruder could have panicked. The situation may have then escalated into violence or abduction.
It's interesting, as that theory could explain why the suspect tampered with a camera and why they were armed. But it does not fully explain why Nancy has never been found, unless the offender removed her from the home to hide the crime or avoid immediate detection. This is certainly a grim possibility, but in cases involving suspected abduction, investigators often have to consider it.
The third theory is that the offender had some prior knowledge of Nancy's routine or vulnerabilities. This does not necessarily mean that the person knew Nancy personally. It could mean they watched the home or understood when people came and went. It could mean they believed Nancy lived alone and knew there were cameras and had planned around them.
That theory is supported only in a broad sense by the camera tampering and the timing. It is not proof, but it is a reason investigators may be asking neighbors and the public to think backward and ask questions like, did anyone see someone parked nearby recently? Did a stranger come to the door? Did someone ask odd questions? Did you answer the door for a sales or delivery person? Did anyone see a vehicle return more than once?
The fourth theory is an offender targeting her home was not highly organized at first, but became dangerous very quickly. Sometimes people imagine abductions as fully planned crimes, but not all crimes are organized. Some offenders are very impulsive, while others are under the influence. Some are opportunistic, others make chaotic decisions and then attempt to cover them afterward.
That could explain a messy scene, a sudden disappearance, or unusual behavior after the fact. But again, the camera tampering suggests at least some awareness of surveillance. So if the offender was impulsive, they were still thinking well enough to try to avoid being recorded.
And finally, the fifth category is misinformation and interference. This is not a theory of Nancy's disappearance itself, but it is part of the case environment. Hoax messages, fake tips, online accusations, and people trying to exploit the case slow things down and hurt the people most affected.
It's hard to overstate how damaging and inconsiderate that is. Every false ransom claim has to be checked. Every fake confession has to be assessed as if it's legitimate. Every viral rumor done for clicks can pull attention away from evidence. The public has a simple responsibility: sharing verified information, sending real tips to the proper channels, and avoiding turning your speculations into unverified accusations.
In a case like this, investigators may be working several paths at once. They may be analyzing video from Nancy's home and nearby properties, or they may be looking for vehicles entering or leaving the area. They may be checking license plate readers or comparing tips to cell tower data, digital records, financial activity, or known offenders.
They may also be trying to identify the unknown person's clothing or gear. The FBI specifically mentioned the black Ozark Trail Hiker Pack. That tells us they want the public to notice that item. A backpack can be purchased widely, but if someone remembers a person with that pack, that could be very meaningful.
They may also be looking at the movements of anyone who had reason to be in the area. Workers, delivery drivers, contractors, service providers, neighbors, visitors, or people passing through. And they may be comparing the time Nancy was last seen with the time the camera was tampered with and any later activity.
The public does not need to solve the case. The public needs to provide pieces. Investigators are the ones who can determine whether those pieces fit. A tip might feel too small. It might feel like nothing. But if it puts a vehicle near the area, or confirms a person's movement, or gives investigators one more timestamp, it can matter.
Before we move into the outro, we want to come back to Nancy herself. It is easy in true crime coverage to focus on evidence, the camera, the suspect, the timeline, the reward, the theories. But Nancy is the person at the center of this. She's an elderly woman who needed care, medication, and safety. She had a routine. She had family. She had people expecting to hear from her. And then, suddenly, she was gone.
That is the very nightmare at the center of this case. Not just that someone disappeared, but that someone vulnerable disappeared from the place she should have been safest. And for her family, every day without answers is another day of not knowing where she is, what happened, or who may be responsible. Not knowing whether someone out there has one detail that may break the case open.
That's why cases like this need careful attention, not sensational attention, not rumor-driven attention, careful attention. The kind that keeps Nancy's name in front of people while still respecting the investigation. If you have thoughts on any of these theories, please share them with us in the comments.
If you have any information about the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie, contact the FBI at 1-800-CALL-FBI, which is 1-800-225-5324, or submit a tip online at tips.fbi.gov. Again, the FBI is asking for digital information: photographs, doorbell camera footage, security video, dashcam footage, or anything that may relate to Nancy's whereabouts or the unknown individual connected to the case.
And if you were in or around the Catalina Foothills area near Tucson on the night of January 31st or the early morning of February 1st, think back carefully. Check old footage before it's deleted. Look at saved clips. Look at anything from home cameras, vehicle cameras, or business cameras. You may not know what details could matter. Let investigators decide that.
You can also reach out to Crime Solvers Central with case information, public source material, or tips you believe need attention. We will route it to the proper agency. But if your information is urgent, specific, or directly connected to Nancy's disappearance, please send it to law enforcement first.
Nancy Guthrie is still missing. Her family is still waiting, and someone out there knows something.
Keep Nancy's name out there and help make sure this case does not fade. Please share this video, like and subscribe to our channel. Make sure to turn on notifications so that you know when our next video drops.
Thank you for watching Crime Solvers Central. As always, stay safe, stay curious, and stay loud.